If you've ever thought about investing in multifamily, you have to listen to this episode. I have world renowned Rod Khleif on the call. Rod has the single largest commercial real estate podcast out there with over 21 million downloads just this week. And he is diving deep into mindset and how he built a business and built a lifestyle where he had a beautiful $8 million home right on the water just to die for in 2008, lost over $50 million and has since built it back with mindset, attitude, and the right work ethic and the right vehicle. You got to listen. Welcome, listeners. Today, I have the distinct honor and privilege of having Rod Khleif today on the show. Rod has got an amazing background experience in commercial real estate, and his journey has been amazing. And I'm excited about having him on the show today. He hosts probably the largest commercial real estate podcast out there today with over 21 million downloads, the Lifetime CashFlow through Real Estate Investing Show. And I'm just honored and excited to have him on the show here for a little while. Rod, thanks for coming today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Paul. Let's have some fun, brother.
Yeah. Well, you've got such an exciting history and colorful history. Why don't we just dive right into how you got involved in real estate and your story,
Sure.
man?
Sure. Colorful is a good word to describe it. I'm going to go way back. So I'm a Dutch immigrant. You know, I was born in the Netherlands, wooden shoes and windmills, immigrated when I was 6 years old with my brother Albert, my mother's Vantje. And we ended up in Denver, Colorado. And we really struggled initially. We didn't have a lot of money. I remember my mom, we bought clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school. And then, you know, I remember eating expired food. We shopped at an expired food store, true story. We drank powdered milk with our cereal in the morning, which, trust me, sounds better than it is. And we really struggled. But my mom had an incredible work ethic. So she babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. And with her babysitting money, she was a bit of an entrepreneur. So she invested in the stock market successfully and also invested in real estate. Well, her first real estate acquisition was a house right across the street from us. She bought when I was about 14 for about 30 grand. Then when I was 17, she told me that she'd made $20,000 in her sleep that had gone up in value to 50 grand. I'm like, what? You made 20 grand? You didn't do anything? Screw college. I'm getting into real estate. So I went out and got my real estate broker's license right when I turned 18. You could be a broker back then with education. That's how old I am. Now they got smart. Of course, you need some experience to be an actual broker and have your own office. Now I was smart enough to go work for a broker, but I was going to be rich in real estate. Well, my first year in real estate, I made about 8 grand. My second year, maybe 10 grand. But my third year, I made over $100,000. And which back in 1980 was some pretty decent change.
Real
what
money.
happened between year 2 and year 3 that caused me to 10x my income? Well, what happened was I met a guy. I was dating his daughter, and he was my broker actually. And he taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology, and how really that is the bulk of your success in anything. 80 to 90% of your success is your mindset. You know, only to 10 to 20% is the mechanical stuff we talk about on our podcasts. It's the do and it's the keep doing. Well, so he got me started on the path of self-actualization, mindset, psychology. I also spent 20 years with Tony Robbins, who's the best in the world at it. But, fast forward to today, I've owned over 2,000 houses that I've rented long-term in 3 states. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. Okay. And you might say, wow. And I said, wow. And I got a head so big, I could barely fit it through a door. And when that happens, God of the universe will give you a nice little smack. Well, that was 2008. I lost $50 million conservatively in 2008 and 9. And so, what I'm known for talking about is the mindset it took to have that to lose in the first place. And probably more importantly, the mindset it took to recover from losing everything to the success that I'm blessed to have today. So happy to drill down on some of those strategies with you if you like, Paul.
I mean,
your
absolutely.
listeners will enjoy.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone, our listeners are business owners, entrepreneurs. They want to go to the next level. Everyone wants to scale and go to the next level. And, it seems like there's so much like invisible friction, a headwind that a lot of people face and they don't know what it is. And so you clearly have dialed that in and have the answer for yourself, and not only doing it once and lose it, but doing it a second time. So dig in, Rod, let's
All right.
learn.
Well, listen, first of all, you got to know what you want. Okay. You've got to create what Napoleon Hill in his book, Think and Grow Rich, calls a burning desire. So like I just had 1,000 people in my virtual boot camp 3 weeks ago. And the first thing we did was goal setting on steroids. Because how do you get anything if you don't know what the heck it is? You got to know what it is you want, and you've got to
Yep.
know why you want it. That's even more important. And so, it starts with goals. And by the way, if you're listening, and I do a goal setting workshop. It's on my link tree. There's a guide you can download. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. It takes about an hour, maybe an hour, 15 minutes. Here's the thing, Paul. People spend more time planning a freaking birthday party than they do designing their lives. That's designing your life, figuring out what it is you want. So, grab your spouse and go to rodslinks.com, rods plural, links plural.com. At the bottom is my goal setting workshop. Like I said, there's a guide you can download, and if you've got a child that's 10 years old or older, have them do it. Let them get juiced about what they want. So, but it starts because you've got to create that burning desire to push through fear, to push through limiting beliefs that you may have. And I'll expand on that in a minute. But, or just to get uncomfortable. A lot of people are comfortable, and that comfort zone's a nice warm place. And as you know, Paul, not a damn thing grows there, right? So you got to have that burning desire to get a little uncomfortable and make things happen. And then the next piece, and so that's what I did. When I lost everything, I reassociated with what I wanted and why I wanted it to get back on track. Sure, I bemoaned my existence for a few months and hid underneath a rock, but then I got myself back up. But then you've got to make a decision. That's the next piece. And I don't mean dip your toe in the water. I mean, or 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I mean, it is freaking done when you make a decision. It's 100% commitment, okay? Because if you're just interested, you're going to get knocked off track. You've got to decide and be committed. And then you're like a train on a track, right? And so, that's the next piece. And then, I will tell you, once you have that 100% commitment and you take 100% ownership, and 100% responsibility for everything that happens to you, success is inevitable when you get rolling here. But you've got to do one other piece. You got to take that first step, okay? And I will tell you when I remember, and sometimes it's a scary step. Dr. Martin Luther King said, you don't have to see the whole staircase, but you got to take that first step in faith. Lao Tzu, thousands of years ago, said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but you got to take it. And, like I remember when I was between year 2 and year 3, when I 10x my income, I started knocking on doors of people that were in foreclosure and helping them and or selling their homes, buying their homes, whatever. And it was pretty scary, those first few doors I knocked on. But that's that first step. And I see it with my students all the time. I have coaching students. They're called my warriors. And I'm going to brag for a minute. They now own we believe, over 200,000 units. And I've only been teaching 6 years. So I'm very, very proud of my student success. And the reason I bring that up is I see it with them all the time. They're like, oh, crap, Rod, it's been 4 months. It's been 6 months. We don't have a deal. Sometimes even a year. And then they get one. And the next thing I know, they have 3. I'm like, what just happened? And they recognize that, that first deal, it's the scariest, it's the most stressful, it takes the longest. And then they get it done. They're like, oh, is that all there is? But see, here's the thing. This life is not a dress rehearsal. Okay. This is our life. Okay. And we don't want any regrets. A lot of people get caught up in analysis paralysis, but you've got to take that first step. And here's the thing to remember: if you're analytical, and I love you, and you're very, very good in my business, multifamily real estate investing. Some of the best people in the business are analytical. But you know how you got to check off every single box before you make a move. You know who you are, and I know you're hearing me here. But you got to remember this, okay? You can drive all the way across the United States at night with your headlights seeing 50 feet in front of you, and you can make it. Other people have done it before you. You may have some obstacles, but you can do it. It's the same way with anything, but you got to take the first step. The thing you don't want is regret. And let me expand on that. So, I got to meet, let me back up. So there's a nurse in Australia, a hospice nurse, and her name was Bronnie Ware with a R, Bronnie Ware. And she wrote a book about this. She was a hospice nurse, and she asked patients that were about to die if they had any regrets. And she wrote a book about it, something like The 5 Regrets of Dying. And you know what the number one regret was? It was not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. I can't think of anything worse than that. Okay. So, no regrets, guys. The next thing I want to mention is fear. I talked about fear and limiting beliefs. When I immigrated, I didn't speak English, and I got thrown into school, and I found out what bullies were for the first time. So I got beat up a couple times. And then my mom, God bless her, proud Dutch woman that she was, thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school in wooden shoes and those leather shorts the Germans wear for Oktoberfest, the lederhosen. So I got my ass kicked again. And then, I had this incident on a playground where I had a crush on this girl, and she embarrassed me in front of a whole bunch of kids, and just the same stupid stuff we all go through. But I came up with this belief system that I wasn't good enough, and I used to ask myself, how can I show them I'm good enough? And a lot of people have these limiting beliefs. I'm not young enough. I'm not old enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not analytical enough. That was another one of mine. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. But see, here's the thing to remember. There's a reason that the acronym for belief systems is BS, because 99% of them are BS. They have no basis in fact. They're just something we believe is real. And so if you've got one of these limiting beliefs, BS belief systems, drag it out into the daylight. Realize that it's not real, and you'll start to diminish it. I mean, I used to be afraid to raise my hand in front of 15 kids in a classroom, and now I speak in front of thousands of people a year, typically in flip-flops, okay? Because I'm becoming more and more free from the opinion of others. Very freeing. But the point is, if you've got one of these belief systems, drag it out into the daylight when it comes up. Look at it rationally, and you'll recognize it's BS. The next thing I want to talk about is focus. So I get excited about my 21 million downloads on my podcast, but I listen to two podcasts. I listen to Joe Rogan and I listen to Tim Ferriss. I try to do both sides of the aisle. I'm definitely more on one side than the other, but I try to stay balanced as much as I can. And on Tim Ferriss's show, he interviews the best of the best in the world. Okay. And the reason I'm bringing all this up, let me back up for a minute. Focus is clarity. Wherever your focus goes, your energy is going to flow. And whatever you focus on is going to get larger. Like I'll get people to call me and say, how do I get out of student loan debt? I'm like, wrong question. How do you make so much money? The debt's irrelevant is the question you should be asking. For example, they asked Mother Teresa if she was anti-war. She said, no, I'm pro-peace. I mean, you get the distinction there. But back to the podcast. So I get excited about Joe and Tim Ferriss's podcast, and they do like 20 million a week. But Tim Ferriss, interviews the best of the best in the world, like the best athletes, Michael Phelps, the swimmer, NFL, NBA players, best actors, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ed Norton, Hugh Jackman, Jamie Foxx, billionaires like Ray Dalio, heads of the biggest CEOs, companies in the world, Zuckerberg, people like that. And I started again, he deconstructs their success. He kind of like outlines how they became a success. Very, very interesting conversation. But I started to hear a pattern, Paul. They almost all meditate. What does meditation enhance? Focus, right? Focus is power, guys. Okay. So focus is important. And so many of us get caught up, be watching some stupid stuff on Netflix, and we'll be scrolling through social media on our phone, which kills your focus. Okay. And, my memory's gotten so bad because of that. I'm actually going to do some memory classes, but, I try to minimize my decisions, and I try to, really hone my focus. Like you'll almost always see me in a black V-neck or a dark blue V-neck. I literally have 200 of them. I'm not exaggerating, because I don't want to think about what I'm going to wear. Honestly.
Yeah.
The next piece is playing to your strengths, Paul.
Can I ask, can I go back there a bit? Yeah. So the concept of focus and meditation. So, and tying it back to the whole concept of starting with what it is you want, defining your goal and your mission. So, so would you also consider, meditation? A lot of people think is just kind of clearing their head and just, for quiet. But how about this idea of taking time to really focus on and visualize and image that goal and, the dream and the outcome?
I'll talk about that. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. I have manifested everything in my life. Okay. So I'll talk about manifesting in a second. I'm glad you brought it up. In fact, I can talk about it right now. So I remember when I was 18, because I've manifested unbelievable things in my life. So I remember I was 18, and I bought a 4-door Ford Granada because I knew I had to show houses, right? So I needed a 4-door. This thing was a piece of crap, but I knew I needed a 4-door. So, but the guy I was working for, the broker I was talking about, he had 2 Corvettes, and he let me drive one because I was dating his daughter, and he let me take her out in it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And so this is before the internet. I went and bought a magazine with a picture of a Corvette. I tore it out. I put it on the visor of this bone ugly Granada that I had. kids. So every time I sat in it, it was right there in front of me. Within a year or two, I had a beautiful Corvette. And I'll give you some more examples, but let me pre-frame this by telling you I'm not bragging because this stuff doesn't really interest me anymore, but it's great for what you just asked me. So this is back when the TV show Magnum PI was out, okay?
Yeah.
The actor's name was Tom Selleck, and he drove a Ferrari 308. You remember that? He was a
True.
detective in Hawaii, I think.
Absolutely. Red Ferrari 308.
That's
Yes.
right. And I thought that was the coolest freaking thing I've ever seen. Well, I got a picture of that actual car, put it on the visor of my Corvette. Within a year or two, I had a Maserati look just like it. Okay. Last example. I'm the guy that always wanted a Lamborghini. I had the posters in my room of the Lamborghini Countach and the girls in the bikinis washing them, you know, all that stupid crap. But what's interesting is my son collected models of exotic cars. He had like 30 of them. He had a model of the exact same color, style, year Lamborghini that I ended up buying, which I wrecked and almost killed myself in. But manifesting is real. In fact, I'll show you something here. This is my planner. Okay, I'm a dinosaur. Yes, I use a paper planner. But in the back of this thing, I'm showing Paul some pictures. If you can't see this, but it starts. By the way, what you're talking about, manifesting, starts with gratitude. You've got to be grateful. That's how you manifest things into your life. So these first pictures are my gratitude pictures. My kids are 32 and 28. So these are when they were young and gratitude. So I have these gratitude pictures in here. But then I've got pictures of the things that I wanted. I forgot to mention this. So I wanted a house on the beach. Okay. I knew I wanted to live on the beach, and there's no beach in Denver. So I visualized living on the beach for 20 years. And I built this incredible mansion on the beach, 10,000 square foot. I owned the beach on one side. I had my boats on the backside. It was called a Gulf to Bay. I mean, giant waterfall from the second floor balcony into the pool. You had to walk through the waterfall to get to the pool. Pools in magazines, big spiral staircase up through the middle, wine cellar, elevator. I mean, this house is magnificent. It's worth about 25, 30 million now. But I mean, to land the plane, I built aquariums on the second floor, curved, custom made around the staircase, cost me almost 200 grand. So this gives you an idea of the house. All right. So this top picture looks just like the view from that house. I had 10-foot high glass, 80 feet long with travertine floors, exactly like that's before I built it. Okay. That one. This bottom picture, can you see the white walls in those pictures? Can you see the white walls there? Look behind me. This is my compound now. It's the exact same freaking wall where I live now. God's got a sense of humor. I lost that mansion and all the craziness, and now I live in a compound. And because God's got a sense of humor, I can see my old house across the bay. It's literally right across the bay. But anyway, these pictures were before I got any of this. It's crazy, And then I've got pictures of other stupid shit. Like I've got probably $1.5 million watch collection. That's my last remaining vanity. There's a Lamborghini before I ever got it. Rolls Royce, Bentley. Again, replace this with what you want, but this is all stuff that I got because I had pictures and I manifested it. So I know that was a long answer to your question, but since you asked it, I had to elaborate. But
while you're elaborating on it, talk about process. You said, manifesting.
Sure. Yep. I'll tell you exactly.
Gratitude. You got pictures. Yep. I mean, is this a daily routine? Is it an hourly routine? And how do you do this?
Every morning. It's an hour, Hal Elrod, I've had him on my show. He wrote a book called The Miracle Morning. I've had him on a couple of times. Beautiful guy. And so he does a version of this where you every morning you exercise, you journal. He calls it scribing. You journal, you meditate, and you manifest, you pray or manifest. And so what I do is I'll sit in my recliner behind my green screen here, and I will just be grateful for the beautiful people in my life that I love, the things that I have, the blessings that I have, my coaching students, my foundation and whatnot. But then I'll be grateful for the things that I want as if I already have them. I'll say, thank you, God, for this and this and this. And sometimes I'll get emotional being grateful for things I don't even have yet. Wow. And I know I lost a few of you analytical ones on that one, but guys, this is how I had 50 million to lose and how I got it back. Okay. So ignore it at your peril. Okay. Is all I'll tell you. Okay. And that's how you do it, brother. But, anyway, so back to playing. It's a long answer, but I'm glad you asked. So back to playing to strengths. Okay. In this multifamily business that I teach, it's a team sport, okay? And there are lots of different hats. You're not going to do it by yourself. You're not going to take down thousands of units by yourself, okay? But you got to play to your strengths. Your strengths are your greatest assets, okay? Don't try to maximize your weaknesses. What you want to do is hire align or partner for your weaknesses. Like I said, my warriors, my coaching students own a couple 100,000 doors. It's more than that. We can't even keep track anymore, but they do. It's all done between students. It's all done between warriors. That's the strength of a community like that.
Mm,
So, but you've got to play to your strengths. Your strengths are your greatest assets. And here's why. First of all, when you're playing to your strengths, work is play. You never work another day in your life because you love what you're freaking doing. If you're playing to your strengths,
right.
you're loving it, right? So that's
Right.
number one. Number two is if you're playing to your strengths, you're going to be passionate about it. And you need passion to influence people. I mean, can you tell I'm passionate about this conversation? I enjoy this. And you need that to be able to influence people. That passion equals that ability. And so, when you've got that passion, that's the fuel. When you're doing what juices you and inspires you, it minimizes or even eliminates fear. It helps you with creativity and innovation, and success comes that much faster, and because you're loving what you're doing. Okay, so again, hire, align, or partner for your weaknesses. Like I'm the mouthpiece, obviously. Okay, I've got partners that are CPAs. Okay, that they love the numbers. I can throw them in a room with a spreadsheet and throw raw meat in once in a while, and they're happy. Okay, but that's not me. I
Yeah.
mean, I can read a spreadsheet, but I don't love it. Okay, I love the communication piece. All right, the next piece is your peer group. You've heard the saying, who you hang out with is who you become. I mean, you show me your three
Right.
best friends, I'll show you who you are in every aspect of your life, your health, your happiness, definitely your finances. And, a lot of people default to people they went to school with or people they work with.
Yeah.
And those people may not have your best interests at heart because of their own fear or limiting beliefs. They may hold you back. They don't want to lose you. They don't want to feel less than if you succeed. And you got to be around people. And sometimes that's family.
Ah,
Okay. And I'm
a
going to
lot of
tell you,
times.
love your family, but proactively choose who you allow to influence you, your peers. Okay. And,
Yeah.
get in a group like my warrior program, or find a local group of people that want more out of life. Get around them that aren't going to squash your dreams. Because when you've got a dream, it's a fragile thread. It's easy to break. You got to be careful who you share it with. You want to be around people that want more out of life, that will hold you accountable, that think what you think is hard is easy, because a rising tide lifts all ships. So get in a peer group that is going to help you and support you, and that makes all the difference in the world, especially in this multifamily space. And don't fear
Well,
failure. Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, we talk about like the God of the universe. That right out of the chute, in almost the first chapter, or a couple chapters in Genesis, he tells Abraham to leave your family and go off, and go into land that I tell you to go into. And because family and those influences that you grew up around, you talking about your BS and your belief systems, your limiting systems, they
Mhm.
have them as well. And where do you think you got them from? Right?
That's right. That's right. That's
Yep.
right. Everybody has those life experiences, and they may be well-meaning.
Sure.
My dad used to tell me he worked for Continental Airlines for 36 years. He's like, go get a real job. Don't be screwing around with this real estate stuff. He worked for Continental Airlines for 36 years and got laid off. Okay. He
Yep.
loved that company. Don't,
Yep.
the only job security is between your ears, guys.
Right.
Okay. And don't fear failure or problems. The only failure, I call them seminars. Okay. That was a $50 million seminar. It was an expensive freaking seminar, but it was, but problems are a gift. That's how you grow and learn. If you come to one
Mm,
of my boot camps, the day after the boot camp, you'll get a survey asking you what you thought. And 99.9% of the stuff is very, very positive, but I'm looking for critical feedback. So how do I
mhm.
make it better? You
Right.
know, um, I don't fear failure. I got to meet the billionaire owner of Spanx, the women's undergarments. Guys, you don't know
Yeah.
what this is, but they wear this stuff under their clothes to hold it all in. And her name's Sarah Blakely, beautiful human being. And I met her at a mastermind, and she told me that her dad used to ask her and her brother once a week, "What have you failed at this week?" And I thought, what
Mm,
an awesome freaking question to ask your kids so
yeah.
they don't fear failure. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't fear failure. So the last piece I want to talk about, I talked about it briefly, is gratitude. Everything you manifest into your life comes through gratitude. Actually, I got one more piece after this, but gratitude, it strengthens our immune system, makes our heart stronger, lowers our blood pressure, brings us closer to our spirituality, right? And it attracts anything you want into your life. So use it. I try to do gratitude every morning. I get my cold plunge, and I'm grateful for God letting me have the courage to get in that thing at 50 degrees for 5 minutes. But I sit in there and I just do gratitude, and I look at the beautiful view that you see behind me here. And And I'm just grateful for the things that I want. Or things that I have first, and then things that I want. I do it there as well as on my recliner. But the last piece I want to talk about, I talked about that house I built on the beach. Okay. I mean, this place was spectacular. And I worked for that for 20 years. Okay. And 2 months after I moved in, Paul, I'm floating in the pool at night, and the pool's changing colors. It's got fiber optic lightings, two waterfalls, one from the spa, one from the second floor. Spectacular home. I mean, again, the pool's in magazines. And I'm looking up at this testament to my ego, which is really what it was. It was to prove the world I was freaking good enough. Okay. If that didn't prove it, I don't know what could, right? And my family's inside sleeping. And I look up at this thing and I got depressed. And this is 2 months after I moved in. Okay.
Mm.
And I'd worked for it for 20 years, and I got depressed. And I don't mean a little. I mean, I was really bummed. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? I've just achieved success like times 1,000.
Mm.
And when I look back on it, I want to share this final message with your peeps here. There were three things going on. One is you never achieve a big goal without having other goals lined up behind it. Because like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. You need a vision for your future, right?
Yep.
And so I didn't know what, and happiness doesn't come from the goals. They say the happiest days of a boat owner's life, the day they buy the boat and the day they sell the boat, right? Well,
Right.
happiness comes from progress and growth. And I didn't know how I was going to progress or grow. But the big thing was I had been totally focused on me. And that's the year I went and saw Tony Robbins. This is 24 years ago. And I followed him around the planet for 20 years. I was on his team for 8 years. I mean, let me shout out to Tony. If you have an opportunity to see him, just do it. Trust me, you'll thank me. But I saw that he fed families for the holidays. And I was like, what a concept. Do something for someone else. I'm embarrassed to say I had to be 40 to get that memo. This is 24 years ago. And I went home and I called my brother in Denver, who I was going to visit for Thanksgiving. I said, bro, let's feed 5 families. So he called his church and found 5 families that really needed help. We bought frozen turkeys and toys for their kids and big boxes of food. It was a lot of fun. The third family changed my life, Paul. We go up to this shack, which is really what it was. It wasn't even a 1-bedroom, because you had to walk through the bedroom to get to the kitchen where the bathroom was. And this Hispanic woman was in there with 5 kids. She comes out and she sees all this stuff on the porch and she starts crying. And her kids come out, 2 of the older ones start crying. And I start crying. And I was hooked. And I'm blessed to say, Paul, in the last 24 years, I have fed 150,000 children here in my area in Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida. I've done, and this is not bragging, there's a message in this. I've done, I know, tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies to local kids. I did 1,800 last, or 1,700 last August. Fed 3,500 kids for Christmas this last year. I've done thousands and thousands of teddy bears filled given to the police departments for officers to keep in their vehicles if they encounter a child that's been in a traumatic situation. Just did a few hundred of those to the Sarasota Police Department about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. And the reason I bring this up is Tony Robbins calls it the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. Achievement's a science. You want to learn multifamily, get your butt to one of my boot camps. Go to Rod's links, and if the price is gone, you can come for $97 to one of my virtual events, and I don't sell anything there. It's like 2 days of training, nothing being sold. You can come for $97. If the price is more than that, because it quadruples, just DM me on any social channel. I'll get you the $97 price. So, but that's a science. If you want to learn multifamily, I'll give you the map and the blueprint. You just got to go do it, right? That's a science. But fulfillment is an art, and fulfillment comes from giving back. And so you've got to determine what you are passionate about. For me, it's kids. Maybe for you, it's the elderly. Maybe it's animals. Maybe it's the environment. Whatever it is, give back right now. See, Paul, we've been taught to achieve to be happy. Like we shouldn't be happy until we've achieved. But I'm going to tell you, it's a play on words. If you give back in any fashion, you're happily achieving. And you know this. You're obviously a devout person, I could tell. And so, don't say, well, you have money, that's why you give back. Well, you want money? Give back, because that's the way God works. Okay. So, you don't do it for that reason, but that's how it works. And so, anyway, I just want to leave you with that final piece. Figure out what you're passionate about, give back right now, so you are happily achieving and fulfilled. And the success will come faster. Power moves to those who serve. That's the way it works.
Well, that is awesome. And I had written down here, I've been taking copious notes here, and the final question I had was to talk to you about your charity and your mission, because I know you're
Thanks.
more about the beautiful mansion on the water and the fast cars and all that. And I think
No, I'm
that's,
not more about that. No. I'm
no.
more about the giving back right now. It's not about the passion and the cars and the house. I'm proud of my student success. I'm proud of what I do with my foundation. I'm proud of the
Right.
fact that I get love every single day. I mean, sometimes 10 times people saying thank you, thank you. I get DMs. I look on the wall behind me. There's some of the hundreds of thank you cards from students I've gotten. I
Yeah.
mean, no, that's
Yeah.
what I'm passionate about. I could care
Yeah.
less about the material stuff anymore.
No, but right. But what I'm saying is that you've achieved that, you get to this self-actualization, right? That Maslow talks about, where
Mhm.
really you realize it's for happiness and self, it's about serving other people. And
That's right.
the greatest among you is the greatest servant. And
That's right.
and all these things come as a byproduct. I mean, the love, the generosity, the thankfulness comes back to you
That's the way it works.
multiplied many, many times. It's the way God set the program up. And I just wanted to say that, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, we business owners and entrepreneurs a lot of times get a bad rap from the world that all we want is money and all we're after is money. We take advantage of people, take advantage of employees. But the reality of the matter is it's the opposite. It's the business owner, it's the entrepreneur who's employing the families, who's making an impact in the community, who's hiring and just who's praying for those people, who's giving to them when they're short. They're doing things that government can never do. And they're just involved in people's lives, and that's what we do at
No,
the end of the
no
day.
question. It's interesting. I do live events as well. I just mentioned my virtual events. I do a 3-day live events, and we typically have a Hall of Fame for exemplary warriors. And it's not necessarily just the ones that have the most units or anything like that. It's the ones that we feel like give back the most. And we did 15 at I had 1,000 people at my Orlando event in October, and we did 15 Hall of Fame awards to warriors that we really respected. And I started to see a pattern. We do a PowerPoint for each slide, and
Mhm.
for each person, one slide. And every single person does something charitable. Schools in India, sexual trafficking, it's veteran suicide, veterans home, every single one. And I pointed to the 1,000 people, and I pointed to the slide deck, and I said, hey, that's what we call a clue. Okay. Power moves to those who serve.
That's right. That's right. Well, I couldn't say it better than that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate all that you're doing and all you're giving
Thank you, bud.
back, not just to the community, but to your students, and really the lessons and the wisdom that you've learned. You're really leveraging that to make a significant impact, and I
Well,
do
thank you, Paul.
appreciate that.
Appreciate
And
it. Appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Of course, I did all the talking, so I loved it. Right.
no, but I love listening, and
All right.
I
Thanks,
love
brother.
learning from people that have wisdom and success.
Thank
So
you.
to your
Thank you.
level. Well,
Thank
Rod, so we've got your links here,
Yeah,
and
Rod's
I'm
links. That's the best place. Subscribe to my podcast. I mean, there's a reason it's at 21 million downloads. Even if you're not interested in multifamily, I do a piece every week called Own Your Power. It's motivational. You give me 5 minutes a week, I will juice you. Okay. And I do one every single week, and there's lots of interviews as well. So that's on Rod's links and the goal setting workshops. There's a ton of free books there, and they're world class. I mean, they're best in class books. They're not like some fluffy white paper. These are 200,
yeah,
300-page books on different aspects of the multifamily business. And they're all free. So,
wow,
check it out. Yep.
awesome. Well,
Thanks,
I'll be
bud.
doing that. We're going to get it out there, and hopefully we can bring
Thanks.
thousands of people to the cause.
I
So
love
thank you
it,
so
man.
much for
All
being on the
right.
scene.
Be well. Take care.
All right, Rod, be good. Thank
Thanks.
you. Hey, gang, just winding down here today. Thanks for listening to the show. And as always, if you need capital to grow your business, you're looking to purchase commercial real estate, or build a building, or invest in commercial real estate, or you're looking to acquire a business, or a competitor, or just need growth capital, we'd love to talk to you. We fund businesses all day long. Our mission is to help entrepreneurs win and to fund their businesses and fund their dreams so that they can make an impact in their community. Reach out to me today. Go to our website, click the button to schedule a 20-minute conversation, discovery call. We'll have a quick conversation, see if there's a need, see if there's a fit, and we can take it from there. The website is VPC, Victor Paul Charlie .capital. That's VPC.capital. All right, there's no .com on that. It's VPC.capital. As always, keep crushing it, and hope to see you soon around here. Take care.